I'm facing the wrong way, but that's okay. So, welcome back YouTube. Today we're going to do a full day of eating, training, all those types of shenanigans, which is super duper. Last week on Saturday, I actually came out of my diet that I was in. It's pretty much the same, but obviously just a little bit more increase. So I'm about to have my breakfast, which was lovely, made by Cuba. There's 4 egg whites and 1 whole egg. There's going to be some tomato on there as well. There's 100 grams of sourdough bread cut by Cuba, and then also some berries as well. So I have 100 grams of mixed berries with breakfast too. That's pretty much what today is going to be about. I've got quite a few clients that are competing at the moment as well, so just being in contact with one of my clients who's competing in a week's time. I've got a few that are obviously doing the naturals when it comes to the tubers, so the MPC that are coming later into this year. So you'll actually be able to get to see them this morning. We were going to go outside, but it's extra rainy, so I'm going to have to do the check-ins in my bedroom, but it's not a problem. I'm going to eat my breakfast and then crack on with the day. Just making the intra-workouts. This is the MPS for years, our intra-workout protein. Cuba has 25 grams. I also have 25 grams. And then for our carbohydrates, up there. I just have the sustain. Potentially when I get a little bit deeper into off-season, we'll use the performance fuel as well. Both sit really nice in your tummy anyway. In this one is the yes. The next little thing that we're going to do is the intra-workout. Obviously within the sustain there is the hydration formula anyway, but we also add some coconut water. We were using the Vita coconut water, and I don't know if anybody else does and if they're bothered about stuff like this. With the Vita coconut water, they've actually started adding some bits in there that you obviously don't want in, like sucralose, etc. So this is actually just raw coconut water, which is why we're using that. Every little helps. If you want to be a good bodybuilder, I do think that the 1% do matter. People say that they don't and pretend like they don't care. If you're a bodybuilder and you want to be good, all those 1% things do add up, and I think that sometimes you get a little bit fixated on them and stuff. Also going to have where have they gone? My morning sups, which is pretty much the entirety of the JP range. I've only got a few of them. Well, people always say, oh, but they're a little bit expensive. If you actually bought these products separately, because obviously within each of the products there is an array of different ingredients, you'd actually spend a hell of a lot more money. It's like me and Kuba used to do that before Jordan started doing his whole range, and the amount of money that we'd save if we were buying just that one product compared to the kind of 4 other different ingredients that's in there, you actually pretty much half your price. If you are an assisted bodybuilder, you do need to take that seriously, because you are putting things into your body that is very toxic. Obviously it's not the healthiest of things, but in order to keep things like blood work and other things under control, blood pressure, etc, etc, you do need to make sure that you are putting quality supplements into your body. So if you are spending the money on things like assistance, make sure that you're spending money on quality health supplementation as well. Otherwise, what's the point? Putting yourself at a little bit of a disservice, especially when it comes to your health. It's not the healthiest sport. You can make it healthier through making better choices with things like that. We have pineapple every single training day. We have it with meal 2 and pre-workout. Obviously it is great for digestion, but the main reason why me and Cuba do use it is because we like pineapples. So when obviously we're in peak off season, it's a really nice little tool to obviously help things go down a little bit easier. After a big plate of rice, it's always nice to have something that's a little bit kind of fresh and a little bit less dense. So some pineapple is what we have. After doing my little morning walk, breakfast, and then getting some meals ready and stuff for the day, what I then do is another block of work. I do have a lot of competitors that are competing at the back end of the year, so mini check-ins with clients as well, just because as they get closer we want to increase the frequency of check-ins, because obviously we know that body starts to change a little bit more the more it gets lean. We need to make sure from a fatigue point of view that obviously they're okay, just to make sure that we stay on top of it. Plus it helps keep the client a little bit less stressed if obviously you're keeping on top of them to make sure that everything is absolutely perfect too. I like to be able to see my clients in person before they obviously come on to show day. I mean, it's very nice to be able to see someone on show day and around their competition, but I think throughout their prep it's nice to be able to see how their body's looking. It's nice to be able to see it on a picture. It's also very nice to be able to see it, how it moves in person. Anna is one of my natural figure athletes. She came to me in, it was like December, wasn't it? But we started in January. We were in the midst of talking about doing a competition in the future, obviously wanting to lose weight before we obviously did an off season, and then she really bent my arm because she really wanted to compete. So we've been dieting for a really long time. We've actually lost around 17, 18 kilos so far, which is obviously a huge amount of weight. So not only is it a competition prep for her to get up on stage, which is going to be a big thing because she does struggle a little bit with self-confidence, but it's also a huge body transformation. So bodybuilding isn't always about someone becoming a professional athlete, someone wanting to win their pro card, somebody that's going to try and go to the Olympia. It is also about improving your confidence, improving your life through healthy eating and picking up great habits, which we know towards the back end of a prep, like foods get very low. Obviously energy gets very low. It's not the healthiest spot to be in, but the habits that you do form can be also very positive, even from a productivity perspective, a routine perspective, healthy eating perspective, even though we will be eating a little bit more when we're not in a competition prep. But you've got to be proud of you, your own journey, where you are. It's like it's her first ever time doing a competition prep. I'm hoping that it's not put her off, because who knows if she will do in the future. We've not really had that conversation. It may not be, but she loves bodybuilding. She loves to train really hard. She's done something that she can be incredibly proud of. So don't try to always focus on what you think is the norm and doing bodybuilding for those reasons. Always do it for the reasons that can make you proud as well. Meal 2 on a training day is 100 grams of steak, 50 grams of rice. I'm supposed to have potatoes, but the amount of potatoes that I've got at the moment post diet is still not really that much, so I'd probably be very hungry if I didn't have the rice. So until the potato amounts build up, I'll just stick to rice. I've also got 50 grams of vegetables from either green veggies or some peppers that are in here. Also got a very needy dog next to me, and I've also got the pineapple that I was chopping earlier. My pre-workout meal got 100 grams of rice in there, 100 grams of turkey, and then just some vegetables. Don't like to have too much veg around my workout because I like things to just digest, and I think sometimes when there's a little bit too much veggies, things can slow down a little bit. Even though it helps with obviously gut health and stuff around workout, I prefer to keep it a little bit lighter. 100 grams of pineapple with 2 shots of coffee. My caffeine intake had obviously increased a little bit around my diet because obviously I was a little bit more hungry. Obviously it's good for a thermogenic effect. Obviously it makes me move around a little bit more without thinking about it, which helps to obviously burn fat a little bit. So that's why I was using more caffeine. Definitely reduced it now because that's just 1 shot of coffee rather than kind of 3 that I was having before. The more I get into my off season, the more I'll reduce my caffeine intake down, just so that then I can utilise it in a comp prep, and obviously it'll do something when I'm using it. Plus also sometimes I find that too much caffeine can actually affect your digestion a little bit. So I've been in my off season again now for a week. We bumped up calories Well, not really by too much. We just bumped it up by around 40-50 grams of carbs per day. Yeah, per day last week. And actually didn't really see anything from my body weight actually go up. It's pretty much stayed.
You look a lot different though.
Pardon?
You look a lot different.
Well, I apparently I look different, but you know, as yourself, you always look at yourself potentially as just looking the same as 10 years ago. Kuba bumped up my foods last week. Not really seen too much in regards to body weight shift up. Again, I wanted to go back into the off season, let my body settle. It's like lots of people make the mistake of going into an off season diet, coming out of it and then going straight for an off plan meal. Whereas it's probably a good idea to let your body normalise back into some higher foods before you start adding in them extra calories from an off plan meal anyway. So obviously today, a week into the push phase, we've seen that body weight hasn't risen a little. Obviously sent over my weight to Kuba earlier because I send over my pictures and do a check-in once per week, and then also do like a little mini update another time in the week. So we've not seen anything really increase. So Kuba's bumped up my carbohydrates again by about the same as what we've done last week. Definitely not enough time to be able to see any change between that to actually make some significant changes. Don't be afraid of things staying the same either, because I think that for around two months or a month and a half, sometimes you can see no changes in off season and things still continue to rise. So don't be afraid of not changing, and also don't be afraid of change, because that's inevitable when it comes to bodybuilding. The reason we diet when it comes to an off season is because if you're in an off season for a really long time, like say for myself and Kuba, we're going to be in off season for 12 months at least. That's in a growing phase for 12 months. You cannot be in a surplus for 12 months because your appetite, well, you could try. Your appetite, I mean, if you can, well done. Your appetite will go at some point. Your training performance, to a certain degree, when you get a little bit too heavy, definitely does start to digress, especially for me. I mean, other people may be a little bit different, but it does for me. And you don't want that to happen, because are you actually building mass? Are you actually being productive in that time? I'm going to say no. So that's why it's really important to take a little bit of a reset sometimes. I mean, we could have dieted for a little bit less time. We could have not got as lean as what we were. But would that have allowed me to then do a good 12 weeks worth of pushing, building up my foods properly without Kuba having to hold back because my body composition's getting too out of hand? No. But it's enough time to be able to build things up slowly, get a bit bigger, and then obviously go into a competition prep. But we're going to head to the gym now, so we'll see you there. Just trained. Obviously you'll be able to see the full session in a different video, so obviously keep your eyes peeled for that. It was the hack squat session and it went very well. This is my post-workout. That's just been increased a little bit today, so it's 120 grams of cream of rice, 30 grams of whey isolate and 150 grams of berries. So looking forward to eating it. I was tasting it as I was making it. It tastes a little bit like the peanut butter one, so I think that's what it is. Post my training session, I like to take a little bit of time. We like to work in work blocks. One of my little work blocks for me is post my session, and I get on with some work so that once I get home, I can go about doing some things at home, whether that be some clothes washing, something to do with the dogs, obviously getting something ready with the foods. Right, this evening I'm having a massage, so that's why I need to get some done now. I then like to have a nice little 30-minute work block later in the evening just to clear things out before obviously the next day, and then that pretty much sees me through. I'm just getting my 2 last meals ready because I'm going to have my massage, which you'll be able to see in a moment. So this is my second to last meal, which is 50 grams of avocado, 50 grams of rice, 100 grams of chicken, some veg. And then I'm going to have 50 grams of oats, 30 grams of whey, 10 grams of dark chocolate and 100 grams of berries later. I'm obsessed with fajita mix at the moment. I think it's because I've been dieting and obviously you get a little bit of an obsession with something. So fajita is the one thing for me, and that's what I've been making on a rest day as well, which is obviously my bread option, but they're actually gluten-free little wraps. They're very good with macros, so if you ever fancy something like that, always feel free to. And Kuba's actually made me a little dip. Let me show my dip. This is my dip. I'm not a sauce person, so Kuba made this yesterday. Do you want to say what's in there?
Yeah, some Greek yogurt, grated cucumber, lazy garlic, Cielen garlic seasoning, and there's some calorie-free barbecue sauce in there, GQs. So it's
Sweet, but sour.
it's like sweet but sour, and it does have a great macro count as well. The cucumber actually gives it like really good texture too. So it's like a Greek.
It's like tzatziki.
Yeah, it's like tzatziki but garlic. It has no fat in it and extremely low calorie as well, and quite high protein from the Greek yogurt.
I'm going to go and have my massage.
Do you want that on
I
your
need to
ass,
go
yeah?
and put in.
Do you want me to put that on your ass?
Literally, like, do not like sauce. I like most bodybuilders will have their ketchup and then mustard and all sorts sprayed on. I just like my food with my seasonings and I don't like sauce. Thank you for watching my video.
Oh, wow.
just crack on, Marlon, it's fine. Thank you for watching my video. I'm just getting pained by Marlon. I actually get a massage done every single Saturday from Marlon. I'm very lucky that he comes to my house. If you do want to see Marlon, he is at UltraFlex gym working at the R&R clinic. He's fantastic. Ow. I mean, if your sports massage doesn't hurt a little bit, then there's something, oh, ow, there's something really a matter, because you shouldn't be having a tickle when you're getting a little bit deeper into your muscle, and obviously with the way in which you train as a bodybuilder, you do need it to go, obviously, is the word superficial? Can't be superficial. You need to go a little bit deeper than that, so the type of massage that you get on a spa, fair enough, you fall asleep and you feel great, but it's not really doing anything to help your muscle recovery. So I always get it either after a session on a Saturday, or if it's a rest day on a Saturday, Marlon pops to mind prior to him going off to the gym. But at no point is the service any different, so just make sure that you get someone who's doing it well, and if you are in the area, hit up Marlon. But, ow. That is the end of my video. I hope that you've enjoyed all the eating, all the spiels about post-diet phases, going into pushing phases. I'm hoping that you all are okay with being uncomfortable if you want to be a bodybuilder, because it requires a lot of that, whether that be in a prep and a diet when you're feeling a little bit hungry, or whether you're in an off-season and you don't want to eat and you feel like a big fat mess. Because that happens as well. You've got to be okay with being uncomfortable. You've got to have people around you that support you with that uncomfortableness, and if they're not being supportive, then you need to ask them to be that way. Otherwise, maybe you need potentially just other people in your corner, because it's very important, if something's important to you, that people do support it, but also that you aren't a dick about it as well. And Marlon's just about to get into my IT band, so before that starts and I actually scream, thank you for watching, and I'll see you again soon. Ow.